episode of the MC Knitting Adventures podcast. My name's Colleen.
And my name is May. Welcome to those of you who are here for the first time, and welcome back to the returning viewers. Today's adventure takes us to the Fern Resort in Orillia, Ontario.
Last year in April, we went to a knitting retreat at the Fern Resort, and we're talking about this now because registrations are just opening, and we want to give you a chance, for those of you who are in Ontario and want to go, to be able to register if there's spaces. So that's why we're talking about it now. Before we talk about that adventure, because it was quite an adventure.
It was great.
Then we're going to talk about what we're wearing. And if you look at it, you may wonder, what's wrong with that picture? And the reason why is because in our past episodes, that cowl was supposed to be for me, and this scarf was supposed to be for May. And I finished them both. And we had a conversation, and I said, you know, May, my hair color, it's a little red, and sometimes it bleeds a little bit because it's semi-permanent. And I think if I had white at the back of my head, I'm not sure it would be good. And May was thrilled. She was just glad there was a reason because she really wanted that one in the first place anyway. So what she's wearing is called the Anguli cowl. It's by Hilary Smith Callis, and it is out of Berroco Comfort Sock. And May loves this yarn because there's no wool in it and it's nice around her neck, and she finds that it dresses things up really quickly.
And you throw it on and there's no fuss. I think I mentioned that in my past podcasts, but I still firmly, it's become my style, I think.
It is your style, and it's gorgeous. There we go. What I'm wearing is a Koigu scarf pattern, and that's by May Landra. And it takes 150-gram skein of Koigu yarn. There's so many colors. Some of them have different colors in them. Some of them are tonal, like this one. This is a plum colorway. I'm not exactly sure the number of it, but it ties around the back. I'll just let you see. See, it just has a quick tie around the back, and then it sits forward, and it's nice and light, and it feels a little bit like what May says is it just throws it on and dresses things up a little bit. And so that's why I really
like this one also. I might have to borrow that one too.
And I'll let her. It won't be a problem.
It looks great on you though. It looks really great.
Thank you so much. And so that's what we're wearing, and we're going to head into our finished objects. Now we're going to talk about my finished objects, and actually May has a finished object this week, so I'm really excited that she gets to show it to you. So my first finished object, when we went to the Fern Resort, part of what we got was like a swag bag. So there was yarn, there were all kinds of little notions in there, and so I decided I wanted to just make a simple hat. So I decided to make the Bankhead hat, and I learned about this pattern. It's by Susie Gourlay, and I learned about it watching the Bakery Bears, which I love. They're amazing. Kay and Dan, I love what they do. So if you ever have a chance to see the Bakery Bears, you should take a look. So May's holding up the Bankhead hat. I used this yarn. If you just for a second, I'll hold that. All right, so it's Shack&Meyer yarn. It's acrylic. It's called Northern Originals, and this is the colorway 00612. It's a gray. It's a little tweedy. And what I really like about it is it's twisted rib, and twisted rib takes a little bit longer to do, but I love it. And then there's a pattern, so it fits really nice. I don't think we're going to mess up our hair right now. No. Maybe what we'll do is another time we'll put
it on, yeah, and it has a little flex in there too. So
yeah, there's lovely, lots of little color, so it would go with just about any coat. I have this much of the ball left. And so I think what I may do is make a Bankhead hat. There's lots of sizes in here. I'll just make a child's one. You never know when you're going to have a gift. So I think that's what I'm going to do as far as that goes. So the Bankhead hat, absolutely, I'm going to make another one. I think they would be great Christmas presents. So if I start now, we'll have lots for next year.
Great job.
So that's the Bankhead hat. All right, now we're going to talk about the knitted knockers that I have mentioned in the last two podcasts. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because, and I'm just going to hold that up so you see that. So what this organization does is they have drop-off points. You can go to a yarn store, you buy, I've used the Cascade Ultra Pima cotton, and that's one that's often used. And the idea is you buy that, you knit up this, it's a breast prosthetic for ladies who've had mastectomies. There's all different sizes in the pattern, and then you just make one up. You can either stuff it or not. I want to just show you what one looks like. So I showed that I was working on one in black, and that is a small one. That is an A cup is what that one is. And I just want to show, yeah, there's a hole at the back that you just stuff. I bought some stuffing like this, and you just stuff it in. Now I haven't tied this off because this is for a friend of ours, and I want to make sure we've got the right size. So you can take stuffing out, you can put more stuffing in, and it's really, it's a nice gift.
It feels soft too. So
it's very soft.
That's important.
Now I have this much of the skein left. I have enough to make at least one more, if not two more. And what I would like to do is make some more. I don't think I'll stuff them if I do that. I'll just make some more and take them to the yarn stores. There are a number of places that you can take it. If you go onto the website, www.knittedknockerscanada.com, they have a list of all the drop-off sites. And as I mentioned the other time, you can also buy just a skein of yarn. If you're not a knitter, go into the yarn store, buy a skein of yarn, and they will then donate it, and people will knit it up, and that's how it works.
And that's something that I would do as a non-knitter. I would just buy a skein of wool, and somebody else would knit.
Exactly. Yep. And it works great. We've had positive feedback from her friend. They liked easy to wear, so it's a good thing to do, and so I'd really appreciate it if you folks would do that. That would be lovely and kind to do and help people out. It doesn't cost the people who receive them any money, so the organization itself pays for whether it gets mailed out. People who have had that.
I didn't realize that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it doesn't cost them anything at all, so it's a wonderful thing to do. And my last finished object before May gets hers is, it's called that Sock Science 2. So if you can hold those up for me, that would be great. Here's the pattern, and it's by Joan Janes, and she is with Little Red Mitten in St. Thomas, which we talked about before. And this is a gift for a friend of Scott's.
My son Scott has a friend, and her name is Rochelle. And her birthday's coming up, and Colleen was kind enough to make a pair of socks for Rochelle. So thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome. So this is Bernat socks, and it is cotton and, let me make sure, acrylic and nylon. There's no cotton in it at all. Oh. So that's okay. That's beautiful. It feels nice. It feels cozy. Yeah. The color is surfs
turned out nice.
Yes, I really like them. I think I'm going to make myself a pair at some point in time.
Fantastic.
So that's my finished objects, and now May's going to talk about hers.
Now, Colleen saw a Yarn Buddy online on the internet, and she thought that she could give me a project to make. So, you know, like I said, had in the other podcast, I do dabble in some woodworking, some photography, some art. Now, they kind of call me Jack of all trades, master of none, because I do a little bit of everything, but I'm not very good at everything. But
that's not true.
I thought I would give it a shot, and this is what it looks like, and you put your yarn on there. I'm sure some of you have seen them being knitters and all.
Yeah. And so you put a cake on. It allows you to pull the ball from the outside, and it spins, and so it doesn't roll all over the floor. It keeps it in place.
So I had to, as a learning curve, because I had to know how to make rounded wood out of a square plank, so I had to buy a little router, handheld router, which I loved, and I could do other things with it, and I'm gonna look forward to that. And also I learned how to put a Lazy Susan in. I've never done that before, and so the hole at the back here, and you have to screw it down, so it was a real learning curve for me to learn how to do this. And this is a little bit of a prototype, but you know, I think it turned out not too bad for
and it's great
the first attempt.
Yeah, you know? I've used it and I really like it. It's a way, sometimes when you make a cake and you pull from the inside, the cake sits still, but it ends up collapsing inside. This will allow you just to pull from the outside, and it spins nicely, and there's no problem.
Would you have me do something different? I mean, this is a prototype. Would you have me maybe make this smaller, thinner, or shorter, or is there anything something?
No, I liked the height. That was good. I liked how you stained it. I think you did an amazing job. I really like it.
Thank you for that. But yeah, so yeah, I might make another one. I've got some, that router is going to be well used. So,
that's fantastic. Yeah. So I love that we've got some knitting finished objects and a little bit of a craft and woodworking from May. And so those are our finished objects. And next we're going to talk about my works in progress. All right, now we're going to talk about my works in progress. When I've been looking at Mae's Anguli cowl, which she loves, I've been on Hilary Smith Callis's Ravelry pattern page, and oh my goodness, there's so many beautiful ones. And what I found was something very similar to what Mae's wearing, and it's called an Aeque cowl. Now, I checked pronunciation, and I think that's right. It means equally in Latin. I've never studied Latin, so I'm hoping Aeque is what how you said. And I wanted to use Berroco Comfort Sock, and this is a bit of a trial run. I'm making it for me, and I'm going to keep this one because the color is going to work okay. I'm making it for me, but I want to get Mae some more of a luxury yarn that will feel good around her neck. And I've got something in mind, so we'll talk about that later. So here's how...
I might have to borrow this one also because I quite like it.
Okay, so here is what it looks like. I'm going to turn this around because this actually is going to be the top. So that's going to be the top. And then, can you hold that for me?
Sure.
And then this side right there is going to be seamed to the other side on the over there. And so you're going to see the stripes, and it's going to be lovely.
Now, does it attach together? Or is
It does attach together.
Oh.
It does attach together. So it's very similar. Oh,
that's going to be nice.
oh it is very nice.
I
It looks
like
great on you, but no, it's still mine. Okay, so it is, once again, Berroco Comfort Sock. And that has nylon and acrylic in it. And I love it. Now, I have this much left. And so I think I'm going to be able to make something else with it. Whether or not I make some little socks, whether I try and see if I can get Turkish bed socks out of it. I'm just not sure what I'm going to do.
And it's purple, just saying.
I know. You're going to see a pattern.
A lot of purple, yes.
A lot of pattern. All right. The next work in progress that I have is something that I was going to do last year for Christmas. And then my problems with my thumb, and then I decided I wouldn't do it. But what I have is, it's not a pattern. I kind of made it up. So there is this yarn that is called Shawl in a Ball, and there are so many colors. And if you just hold on, just hold that up for me. I'm going to go grab it, and I'll be right back. It's kind of nice. Thanks for holding that up. I appreciate that very much. I had grabbed some other colors. This actually, surprisingly enough, this ball and this ball, it's the same. It's called Mindful Mauve. Okay, so that's one. This one is called Healing Teal.
That's a great color. I love that.
I love it.
Yes.
This one is called Peaceful Earth.
It's a different color. It's not a color I think I would wear, but I think some people look great in that
Great
color.
in just browns.
Just not me.
So you can see on the front of the ball, so it's called Shawl in a Ball. There's enough yarn in here to actually make a shawl. I crocheted like a prayer shawl for my sister, and she loved it. So I did that. And then I decided what I wanted to try and do is make infinity scarves for our friends. It probably will happen for next Christmas, so I have just spoiled the surprise, but I'm just going to show you how it works. Now, I apologize if these needles make a noise. So these are the Nova Platina Cubics. These are 8mm needles. And what I've done is I started with 30 stitches. It's a provisional cast on. I'll just hold that up so you can see. Provisional cast on. I used a crocheted one. And then all I'm going to do is knit and knit and knit and knit. I'm just knitting. It's garter stitch. But because I'm using such a big needle, it's really like open work, almost like lace a little bit. And it's great car knitting because I don't have to think about it. It's just back and forth, and it works great.
It's so light.
And it's really
feels
light.
very light.
It is light.
Yeah.
Now, it is 100% acrylic. Let me just double check. Once again, I gotta watch. It's cotton acrylic blend. And so it's really nice and light. And I am able, out of this ball, which has 150 grams in it, I'm able to get 2 out of one ball. So if you are needing something that's going to be a gift for somebody, you can get this, is about $12 in Ontario. And if you have a coupon at Michael's, you could get part of it off.
Oh, it's just at Michael's?
It's just at Michael's. And then you would have a lovely gift for somebody without having to have such a high price point.
Yeah.
And so I'm
nice.
still going to work on that. That's the purple one.
Yeah.
What a surprise I started with that.
Our friends are going to appreciate that.
Exactly. So that's that. Now the last thing that I'm working on, and by the time you see this mystery knit along will be, all the clues will be out. People will start showing their finished objects. And so I'm not so worried about May scrunching it up. We're going to see. So it's the My Sister's Shawl Mystery Knit Along by Cozy Up Designs. So it is Jamie, Sarah, Katie, and Christina. They're from Grand Prairie, Alberta. They've made this design, so it came out in clues. And so we're going to hold it up.
Did you have fun doing this? Like
I loved it. It's very strange to knit when you don't know how it's going to end up, but I've seen some of the patterns that these ladies create, and I love them. So I knew I could trust that it was going to be okay.
So is this your first mystery?
It's my very first mystery knit along.
And you do it again?
Absolutely, I would do it again. So let's take a look at this.
Very nice.
We're going to hold it up. Now, I'm not done, but I'm getting there. So it needs to be blocked. It's got a few things. I'm not going to discuss what's in it, but I have 2 Vivid yarns from Vivid Yarn Studio. This is Dragon's Egg, this is Royal Purple, and this is a teal that is a Cascade Heritage Silk. And it's really nice, and I'm looking forward to blocking it because that lace will open up, and I think it's going to be beautiful. So
very nice.
I didn't say spoiler because I know that this episode won't be up until after everything's out, but I wanted you to see it because I love it, and I'm really proud of it.
Good.
Okay.
Great.
So
Fantastic
that is
job on that.
my works in progress, and now we're going to talk about our adventure to the Fern Resort.
Today we're going to talk about the Fern Resort up in Orillia, Ontario. Orillia, Ontario, we went to a knitting retreat up there, and we thought we'd talk about that now because it's coming again next year, this year.
Right.
And it's soon for registration, I guess.
Absolutely. It's called the Yarn Over Sleepover. And it is a knitting retreat, and they have classes, and we're going to talk about that.
And we
now.
stayed there for 2 days, I believe.
We went up on the Friday night, and we came home on Sunday.
And it's a 4-hour drive from London, Ontario, for where we live. And it's connected by, you'll see by the photographs, it's connected by 2 lakes, Lake Simcoe and Lake Couchiching. And if I don't say that properly, I apologize. But it's connected by those 2 lakes. It's a population of 30,000 people. And the reason I tell you about the population is not because I want to bore you to death. It's because I want to give you an idea of the community and what size you're dealing with.
So this is Orillia, right?
This is Orillia, yes. So Orillia has 30,000 population. But it also has a casino, and it's a farming community because we were driving up to this Orillia. It's very farms and cornfields and beans and that type of thing. And you're driving up, and all of a sudden there's this massive building, beautiful building, and that's the casino. And it's a hotel, casino. It was great, but it was just kind of out of place, out of these cornfields. It was out of nowhere. But.
So when we drove up, we were a little early to register in at the retreat, and so May wanted to go to the
casino. So we went to the casino, and they gave you $10 for free for signing up. I used my $10 quite quickly, and Colleen used her $10.
And I won $75. So for me, I thought, yes, $75 worth of yarn. It's fantastic. So I was thrilled.
So you were done. You didn't put any more money in.
Nope, I didn't.
Unfortunately, I went back the next day when Colleen was in her knitting classes. And I played poker the next day, which was fantastic.
You're a good poker player. Absolutely.
And, it was great. I won a little bit of money, so that's always a good thing. But at the retreat, it was great. It was a lot of these knitters. It was our first experience. A lot of knitters. Everybody was a knitter except for myself.
So I have to just mention, May is a trooper, and when I said to her, "Listen, if we both go, it's less money, and what do you think? And would you be willing to come with me? And we could have fun." And and then there's the casino, and so I did a sales pitch, and she was as a real trooper, and she came to the knitting retreat. So I really was very much appreciated that you did.
I was around a lot of knitters for 2 days, and people knit just sitting. People were knitting, sitting at dinner. People were knitting, and I have to mention that the first night we were there, everybody was knitting at the table, and everybody was discussing, just getting to know people. So what are you knitting? What is your piece? And they came to me, and they said, so what are you knitting? And I said, oh, I'm not a knitter. Well, you could have heard a pin drop. Everybody kind of stared at me. It was kind of funny. But we ended up sitting with some really great people there. 3 people that we sat with and spent a lot of time with. We had dinner with them. The food was absolutely phenomenal.
Fantastic, yes.
The people were great that we sat with for dinner, and we got to know them quite well. So overall, it was a fantastic experience. Now, Colleen had encouraged me to take, maybe I'd be interested in dyeing wool, because one of the classes was about that. So I said, sure, I would do that. So we went and we dyed wool, and that was a fun day.
It was good. And it was great because we worked as a team. I bought 2 skeins of yarn, bear yarn, and we worked together, and it was great.
Fun, yeah.
It was lots of fun.
Now, a couple of things I learned about dyeing yarn was it's very labor intensive.
Absolutely.
I didn't realize that. There's a lot of work involved, a lot of draining, spinning that wool out and getting all the dye out and doing it again. It was just very labor intensive. I also learned there's another dye that you get that when you use it, it's a chemical kind of dye. You cannot use the same utensils for food. I think that was loud and clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you used food coloring for the dye, I don't know if it's as good food coloring, but I mean, we can talk about that. That's a whole other podcast just about dyeing wool.
Exactly, it is. That's for sure.
But it was a fun experience to do that, and we did. It was great to dye that wool, and it was good. Now, a lot of it was at the outdoors, which I love, and we both like being outdoors and being more earthy. And they had a fire in the evening. It was fantastic. And I noticed out there, because I do a little bit of woodworking, I noticed out there that they had this fire pit. I was fascinated with it. And not only did they have a nice fire pit, they had a nice fire wood holder. And I thought I could do that. And so don't be surprised that I will, when the weather gets better, is make one of those for our firewood holders. And I'll show you a picture of that and put that up for you, that maybe you'd want to make that at home. Anyway, it was a great experience, fun time.
We had a really good time. We really did have a good time.
Yep. Food was, I guess it's known for its food.
Yes, like the Fern Resort is absolutely known for its food.
Now, the Fern Resort itself, it's quite old. It's older.
I think they were saying it's 100 years old, something like that.
Yes, and so, and you know what, and some of the reviews and that were just needs a little bit of lick of paint.
Right.
But for the most part, you know, for an older place, you could tell what it was like back in the day, and it was a fun experience. It was a good day.
Absolutely, it was. Yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah, so
and thanks again for going.
Yeah, it was
that
great.
Was good.
So thank you.
So that's our adventure to the Fern Resort. And now we're going to talk about souvenirs, stash, yarn enhancement, whatever we'd like to call it. That's what we're going to talk next. All right. Now we're going to talk about my souvenirs, my retail therapy, my acquisitions, my stash. Exactly. So I'm going to try and do it in the order that we did when we went on our retreat. So as we were driving up, we knew we had a little bit of extra time. So I asked May, I said, why don't we try and go to a yarn store? So I went to, it's called the Wool and Silk Company.
Are they still there? Like that was...
Yes, they are. And they're in Shelburne, Ontario. And what I found, oh my gosh, you have to feel this.
Ooh,
I know, always right. So this is Juniper Moon Farm Harriet Fine. It's 70% alpaca, which is why it feels as nice as it does. And there's 25% nylon, so that'll help it keep its shape a little bit. It's called Deep Plum Passion. What a surprise. I think it kind of looks like what I'm wearing right now. And I'm going to make a shawl of some kind. So if anybody has an idea of a shawl that would work with the alpaca, I would love to hear that. So just comment below. That would be great. Give me an idea, because sometimes when you're looking in certain places in Ravelry, it's hard to find something new. So I would love to have something new.
And it was a small little town.
It was just a small little place.
And the lady was very nice. Was that lady from England?
Yeah, you were talking to her from England. You had a lovely chat with her.
Nice.
Absolutely. So they had lots of different yarns, and it was hard when we were going up because I didn't know what was going to be at the retreat, and I didn't want to spend all my money in one place. That is a saying, isn't it? Yeah, don't spend all your money in one place. So I tried to hold back a little bit, so I found that. And they did have some Regia yarn, and I didn't get some. So maybe we'll go back.
Yeah, it'd be a great place to go back to.
Perfect. And then we drove up and went to the casino, and I won some more money, and I could go spend it on my yarn. And then we got to the Fern Resort and registered for a retreat. So when we registered, you got a little swag bag. And fortunately for me, I ended up with 2 swag bags because May doesn't knit. But
so I gave my swag bag to Colleen because there was all kinds of wool in there, nice things in there that I'm not going to use. So
exactly.
You know.
So I'm just going to show you some of it. We both got a mug.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. That's fantastic.
That has a little cabled, almost like a little cabled sweater on it.
Nice.
So that was kind of fun.
Yeah. I don't drink mine. I don't have my mug.
Oh, I'll have to find it for you. There you go. Then we got a lovely tape measure that looks like a sheep.
That's so cute.
Yeah, it is so cute. Exactly. So that's kind of fun. I love that to have that in my knitting bag. Yeah. We got some, this is a mercerized Egyptian cotton. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but it feels nice.
Is that the stuff they make those tea towels out of? Or no?
No, you know what? I wonder if you could make a dishcloth out of it.
Right.
It's Egyptian cotton. So I'm going to take a look and see if I can find something for that. I have 2 of these. So what I may do is double it up. It's a lace weight. It's merino and silk. And it came with its own little pattern. Oh. So I have 2 of that color. I don't usually wear that color, but it might be fun for spring.
And you don't usually wear that lacy kind of thing on.
No,
so it's very fine. Wool.
Yeah, I think what I might do is, I've got 2 of them, so I'll knit 2 together and come up with something there. And then May was a trooper for me because when I opened my swag bag, I had some mohair that was black with little silver flecks, and there was just one ball of it. And I thought, I don't know what I'm ever going to do with it.
It was not attractive.
It was not attractive. So, she went and she asked, could I please exchange it? So I ended up with 2 of these, and it's Cabin Fever, Fountain Hill, it's acrylic and mohair. And so I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's beautiful and it's
very fun
browns.
also, isn't it?
Yeah, I wonder if I could double that up as well. So I'm going to go on Ravelry. I love Ravelry because I can put in the name of the yarn and try and figure out something to do with that. There were some stitch markers. There were some magnets. It was a lovely swag bag.
Yeah.
Yep, I really like that.
Did they not have a little store there too?
They did. They had a marketplace.
Market.
And so then I had a lovely look around. I must have been around that marketplace 3 or 4 times. So I'm going to show you what I bought. Before I do that, I want to talk about the yarn that we dyed. So this is our first dyeing attempt.
Yay.
Did we give it a name?
We didn't, but
we should work on that.
Yeah.
We need to give it a name. Beach Baby? I don't know. We'll come up with something. We love these colors, and so that was what was nice. And so it was nice for me that May would go to that dyeing class, and we did. We learned a lot about dyeing yarn.
No purple in it.
No purple.
But
exactly.
It was nice. It was a little learning curve.
Exactly. So what I made with this is this thing that's called the Autumn Scarf. And I think when I see it, May, I think we did a great job with that yarn.
I think we did.
I know there's little bits of orange.
We put orange in it, but it didn't turn out what you think it would have turned out like. But it makes it look a little dark. But there's some things that we do differently. It was our first experience with dyeing.
And this is great to wear, and it's nice over a white turtleneck, white t-shirt. So I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, and I think we did great dyeing that wool. And it's kind of neat to see something, plain white. And then something from scratch that we were able to create this from scratch.
It was. And our teacher there was Lynn Shellridge, and she runs Shellridge Yarns. And so the next things I'm going to show you are the other things that I bought. There was this pattern that's called It Happens. And the one that they had there, it was a kit. So you got the pattern, and of course it was purple. So if you can hold these up. And I thought, I like that poncho. They had one knit up in the purple. I thought it's beautiful. That's what I'm going to make. Now, it's almost been a year and I still have the yarn and I haven't made that thing because there's Christmas gifts and all those kind of things. And as I've been looking at it, I think this poncho has, it actually has a turtleneck in it. So it's not something you could wear other than in the winter.
Right.
So what I decided, and it helps because the Cozy Up design people are so good. I am going to do the Jamie's shawl. I was watching their podcast and they mentioned that this is a worsted weight yarn, and this pattern I think needs 3 of those balls. So I'm going to use 3 of them and I'm going to make the Jamie shawl.
I think that'll be nice.
I think it will be beautiful.
Really nice, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So I've purchased the pattern. I'm really happy about it, and I think I like what that is. I think it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
And the last thing I purchased, and this was a 5-color gradient set, and I tried to go not purple. So this is very green, but I like it. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. There was a gradient something, and I can't even remember what it looked like, but it was to do this, and I haven't seen it published. Right? So this is sock weight. It's sock weight yarn or fingering weight yarn, and the difference is this isn't like a party of 5. Each one of these is 50 grams. So I have 250 grams of this, which gives me a lot of yardage. And I wanted to make sure that whatever I was going to make would use it all up without little bits left. And so, thank you, Hilary Smith Callis. And this is called Euclidean. Now, I realize this is very nerdy. I'm a math teacher, and there is something called Euclidean Geometry. So not only does the pattern speak to me, but the name spoke to me as a math teacher. It speaks to me. So I'm going to do this. This actually has 6 colors. Let me make sure I'm telling you the truth. Yes, there's 6 colors, and I'm just going to do it with 5, and I'm just going to knit it as far as I can knit it. I was going to try and incorporate a 6th color, but these go so well together. I've decided I'm going to do a hack to the pattern, and I'm going to figure out, I think if I don't do the big purple at the bottom, because I won't have enough, then I should be able to include most of it, and I'm just going to knit as far as I can knit.
This tells me you're going to be very busy with all this stuff.
I am. And I'm always amazed that sometimes when you buy something, you think, okay, I'm buying it and this is what I'm going to make. And then that changes. When you think about it and you have some more time, that you figure out, no, maybe that's not what I'm going to do. And the other thing is, I've loved watching podcasts all the time. When I sit and knit, I love to watch a podcast. And that helps me because I get to see it. And as I mentioned before, Ravelry is great for that. It's really, really helpful. So we had a great time at the resort. The people were wonderful. The 3 ladies that we sat with for dinners and lunches and breakfast.
They were great.
They were
really,
great.
Really enjoyed their company. And,
exactly.
Yeah.
And they talked about all kinds of places you can go and knitting cruises, and it was just it was really great to meet
one
them.
lady went on to a knitting cruise in Ireland.
Exactly. So
really interesting stories. Yeah,
knitting cruise. Ireland. What do you think?
That's an adventure. I like that.
All right. So we love our adventures. So they're going to get bigger, and so that's going to help us out. So that's our adventures. That's our. Now it's really starting to look like a stash, May. I think you're right. It's really starting to look like a stash, and I'm okay with that. So I'm going to have to tidy things up and put it back away. And but I'm really excited about the Jamie shawl. I think that's what I'm going to start next. So I have to cake up some of the yarn, and I think that will be great.
Great.
So for those of you who have subscribed, thank you so much. If you like what you see, please subscribe. We love to see your comments. If you can help me out with a shawl to do with mohair, or a shawl to do with alpaca, that would be great. I'd love to hear that. So just comment below, and that will be great. You'll see the show notes below as well. I'm working on a Ravelry page. I'm not quite there yet. So I'll let you know once that happens. So
thanks for your feedback. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah,
and we've had a great time. We love doing this. Yeah. So thank you for being there for us. It's great.
Thank you. Until next time.
You take care.